Welcome. Listen to the audio. Read the text. Repeat the sentences out loud. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. Relax and enjoy. The bookstore on Willow Lane. Sophie had never liked her job. It paid the bills, but her days felt like walking in circles. At 28, she worked in a busy law office where no one knew her favorite color, her middle name, or how much she hated mornings without tea. One Friday afternoon, on her way home, she saw a sign she'd never noticed before. Willow Lane Books. Stories for Old Souls. The door chimed softly as she stepped in. It smelled like old paper, cinnamon, and something comforting. Behind the counter stood a man around her age, wearing round glasses and a sweater with loose threads. "Hi," he said, smiling gently. "You look like someone who needs a quiet place." His name was Adrian. He had owned the shop for 3 years, though it barely made enough to survive. "I don't mind," he said. "This place isn't for making money. It's for making people feel seen." Sophie thought about her office, where no one said her name unless they needed something. That day, she bought a second-hand poetry book with a pressed daisy inside. Adrian wrapped it carefully in brown paper. "Come back any time," he said. She started visiting every Friday. At first, she browsed quietly. Then, little by little, they talked. About their favorite books, about moments when they felt lost, about the kinds of people who leave and never return. Adrian admitted he once dreamed of being a teacher. But life went another way, he said softly. Sophie told him she once wanted to paint, but "I haven't touched a brush in years." One night, a heavy storm hit the town. Sophie's power went out, and without thinking, she ran to the bookstore. To her surprise, Adrian was there, placing buckets to catch leaks in the ceiling. "You came," he said. "Didn't know where else to go," she whispered. They made tea on a small gas stove and sat between stacks of books, listening to rain drum against the windows. "It's strange," Sophie said. "I've known you such a short time, but this feels more like home than anywhere else." Adrian looked at her, his eyes quiet but steady. Maybe home isn't a place. Maybe it's the people who make us feel understood. The next Friday, Sophie arrived to find the shop closed. A note on the door read, "Back soon. Life needed a pause." She felt her chest tighten. 2 days later, Adrian called. "I'm sorry," he said. "My grandmother fell ill. I had to leave town." Sophie surprised herself by saying, "I can look after the shop until you're back." Adrian laughed softly. "Are you sure?" "Yes," she said. "For once, I want to do something that feels right." For the first time in years, Sophie felt alive. She made tea for customers, recommended books that had healed pieces of her own heart. She even brought in her paints and started leaving little watercolor bookmarks for visitors. When Adrian returned weeks later, the shop felt brighter, full of plants, art, and laughter. "You've changed this place," he said. "It changed me first," Sophie replied. That evening, Adrian handed her a book. It wasn't wrapped this time. The cover read, "To the girl who brought color back to Willow Lane." Inside were pages of poetry, his poetry. At the end, a single line, "Sophie, would you stay? Not just in the shop, but in my life." Sophie closed the book and smiled through tears. "I thought you'd never ask." Years later, the shop was still small and imperfect. But every Friday, Sophie painted in the window. Adrian made tea for visitors. Above the door hung a new sign, "Willow Lane Books and Art, Stories and Second Chances." What part of the story did you like the most? Write it in the comments and practice your English with me. If this helped you, like, share, and subscribe for more stories that make learning English easy and fun. Remember, the more you listen, the more you understand. The more you speak, the more confident you feel. Thank you for watching.